Hi, Zach. Welcome to the pod, dude.
Well, dude, pleasure to be on the podcast. I know I've been on your YouTube channel a couple times, so I'm happy to be
hmm
back.
Yeah, dude. 100%. No, we've got a really interesting relationship. Like I've seen you grow from ground zero for forever ago. Like this is like 3 years ago,
hmm
and you've worked with a ton of people since then. And no, dude, it's just a pleasure. Like I think your and I's relationship, there's a lot of symbiosis. And like right before we kicked off the podcast, just I think we run our team very similarly. I think we think about life very similarly. Congrats, you just had your first $1 million year in 2022. That's amazing.
Thank you.
For those who don't know Zach, he runs a program. Help me here. PTBI stands for Personal Trainer Business Incubator.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Sweet. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, and then you started that how long ago?
I started it in 2020. So I was a personal
Cool.
trainer, online fitness coach all the way up until COVID. And then once
hmm
COVID happened, I switched over to pretty much business consulting for personal trainers.
Yep.
It started off very bootstrapped, just me in my apartment during COVID.
Yep.
3 months locked in, building a course, working with clients one-on-one. And then over the course of 3 years, we are now at the point to where we've worked with over 500 coaches. We have a team of 15 people. And we just hit our first seven-figure year in 2022. So this year
Killer.
we're shooting for 3 to 5 million. And so far projections are looking pretty solid first 10 days of the year, which is great.
Sweet, dude. That's
Yeah, it's been
amazing.
growing fast and we're having fun.
That's killer, dude. That's super killer. So, dude, I mean, you've had a neat journey, and like I said, I remember visiting you out in LA, and we like had some cigars, and I just feel like I've been able to like watch a lot of the different stages, and same for you too. Like I remember when I came out to LA, actually, like I was broken up with my now wife, and like
Yes.
it was a very transitional season for me of like figuring out what life's gonna look like right now. And there was just something, dude, I don't know. I just want to give you a lot of credit here. There's something about your personality, man, that I just need to go hang out with this guy. And I just feel like he's got this just like love and lust for life that like was very attractive. And I was like, I'm just gonna go hang out in LA. And dude, it was like a very needed season for me. So
Yeah, I
that's
remember
like
that.
that was when I was like, all right, this guy's like a proper like friend. Like
Yeah, you're like, I remember you came out, you're like, yeah, I'm kind of going through a rough time. I just need to do something crazy. I'm like, perfect. Like,
yeah,
come sleep on my
yeah,
couch. We'll chill out, hang
literally.
out. I'll take you a day through my life.
Yeah, bro. It was awesome, man. And like getting to know your girlfriend, she's amazing, and your dog. Like, yeah, dude. Like, you guys are cool people, and that's kind of
Thanks,
why I
man.
want to do on the podcast. Like, I just want to have people that I just really admire and I think are cool people.
Thanks, man.
Um, so we kind of wrote like some topics. We want to talk about like your seven-figure year in 2022. I'd love to learn more about like what that took, because I think a lot
Mhm.
of people who are listening to this podcast, odds are they're service delivery people, coaches, consultants, whatever, like internet-based entrepreneurs. And a seven-figure year for a lot of people is like a big freaking deal. And I know it was for you. And I remember back when I hit my first seven figures, huge, huge deal. Like you click the 1 year on Stripe and it's like 1.2 million. It's like, oh,
Yes.
sick. So that's a huge deal. So I'd love to talk about like the lessons you've learned that have helped you arrive there. And I'll chime in as well in terms of what I had to learn in order to get there. And that's a good discussion. We want to talk about watches. You and I both have an affinity for watches. So
Yeah.
I know you've got some orders in for some nice pieces, which is a lot of fun. Team, how you're running the team. I know you're visiting your team in the Philippines soon, which is killer. Like your prospecting and cold outbound team, I know is all VAs. So that's amazing. And then talking about integrating it all into your life. So that's kind of what we're gonna hit today.
Cool. Awesome, man. Yeah. Also another thing too. I don't know if I saw this correctly. Are you moving out of Indiana? Did I see that?
Uh, Dude, I was gonna, man, but here's my thinking. Like, I am such a believer in like roots.
Yeah.
Like, I really do get where people are coming from. Like, if you stay in the hometown you grew up in, and like you adopt their thinking and everything, and I get that on some level.
Yeah,
But
but you're not one of those guys. You're not.
yeah,
You've shown that you're a different kind of breed. So I don't think that those quotes apply to you in this case.
it's very like common advice. But like, I look at Mr. Beast. Like, Mr. Beast still lives in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like got offered $1 billion for somebody to buy out his brand.
Yeah.
Lives in North Carolina, 20 minutes from his parents. His office is literally like right there. And
Yeah.
he said the same thing. He's like, I just believe in roots, man. Like I've got family here. I've got a good support system. I'm like, I don't want to take that from my wife either. Like she's got a great relationship with her family. And like to me, like just because they're not all thinking the same way I'm thinking doesn't mean I don't love those relationships. Like I love my family and my friends. And like even tonight, I'm going to go get cigars with my buddy. I've known him since he was like 4. Like I was 3, he was 4. Like we've been buddies for forever. We're going to hang out tonight. And he's like figuring out life right now. Not much going for him. And like to me, dude, it's just never affected my headspace. I don't know, man. I've never felt dragged down by other people. I just haven't.
It's interesting
Yeah.
you say that too, because I I go home for Christmas every single year, and I'll stay
Yeah.
1 to 2 weeks at home. And a bunch of entrepreneurs will say, "Don't go." I mean, Alex Ramosi says, "Why don't go home for Christmas?" I'm like, dude, that's your family. Like that is your family.
Yeah.
Whether they're on the same page, they have a different mindset. Like you have an obligation to see them, and they are important people in my life too. And it's also that's also part of the reason why we actually chose Vegas is because we wanted to stay with our family.
Oh, so your family's in Vegas?
Our family's in NorCal, which is Salinas. So when I was when I was 19, I moved to San Diego, which in my case, I would say I don't think I could have made it had I not moved to San Diego. I think San Diego is where I needed to be, but it was I was still driving distance. I can still drive home, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Miami was on the table. A lot of people were moving to Miami. It's a hot popping place. And me and my girlfriend, we just couldn't get down with it because it was so far from our family. So we moved to Vegas. We saved a bunch of money on taxes. We got a big house, but it's still the same distance away from home as San Diego was. So we didn't lose any distance. We're still able to have an hour flight home or a 6-hour drive home. So for us, that's valuable. But I get what you're saying, man. For me, as I get older, my family and hometown friends become more and more valuable to me than the fucking 100%. Dude hitting me up in the Instagram. Yo, let's go grab dinner. Let's network. I'm like, I'm cool with kicking it with my buddies, man.
Yeah, I am, dude. And I think honestly, it's because at some point, like, I think for me, the identity's really sunk in. Honestly, is probably a part of it. Like, I get when you're just getting started, you need probably like a year or two of like, all right, it needs to be you versus you. You need to be in a new environment. And in some senses, I kind of artificially created it for myself. Like I was still lived in my home state, but I didn't see my family that much. So like for a while, like I didn't see them that much. I see them now more than ever. And this is a season where we're like, I'm trying to scale to like $500,000 to $600,000 a month. And same like you're aiming for 3 or 5 million. We're on pace. Like the first 10 days of the month, we should do it. Like we're aiming for 200 this month, 220, 240, just steady growth, you know? And we very well should hit it, and we're wanting to do it without sacrificing an inch of like student experience. You know what I mean? Like that's I think why I'm probably not there already. So I haven't figured out how do we sell 50 people in a month and deliver the same quality of experience? I have no idea because like what we do is very involved. But I think we're cracking that code. But anyway, yeah, like back to the point. Yeah, dude, I don't get it. I don't get people who are at your level and above. Like you've solidified your relationships with your team, your students sing your praises. Like the identity's there. Like first, it takes a very weak mind, I think, at your stage and above to feel like being with their family is like detrimental. It just does not make sense to me, dude.
No,
it doesn't make sense to
I'm
me
on the same page. Well, congrats on staying with Indiana. I was gonna say, I'm like LA. I think you were looking at like south of LA, like Laguna, right?
Yeah, I was looking at Laguna. We had a spot out there. It was like $8,000 a month rent, like a beautiful, like near the beach kind of thing.
I was gonna say, I give him 2 years tops. His taxes will fucking kill him.
Yeah.
I was like 2 years tops.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Indiana is a pretty decent tax state. Like it's a pretty conservative like leadership in the Indiana like state government. Like they just released no, you don't even need a license to carry a gun anymore. Like that's how far, like, it is pros and cons to that, you know, but like that, they generally have that belief of like, keep the government out of the way. So our income tax is like 6% or something, 7% or something like that. And it's a very underrated state. Like I know everybody here, man. Like Indianapolis is my city. Like I know everybody, I know all the business owners. I'm just very integrated, man. So it's just like, it'd be weird to leave. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Good, man. Well, to the point, with the 7 figures. So 2021, these are the big changes and the big shifts that we made from 2021 to 2022. 2021, I was working with an agency to do Facebook ads. Learned my lesson there. Agencies just didn't really provide the ROI that I was looking for. And I couldn't figure it out why. We were getting leads, but we weren't closing any of the leads. And so we had hit 750K 2021, all organic. Outbound, inbound, that's it. I was putting a ton of money into an agency to produce Facebook ads, but it seemed like we were trying to build something that was brand new that wasn't aligned with what we were currently doing. Right? What we were doing as a company is just boots on the ground conversations, one-to-one conversations, DMs on Instagram.
Yep.
And whenever we would go to these agencies, they're like, "Oh, you need this funnel?" And we're like, "Okay, we'll try this funnel." Didn't work. "Oh, we need this funnel." "Oh, okay, we tried this funnel." Didn't work. And it was just a lot of things that just weren't in alignment with what we were currently doing that was already working. And I didn't see that. And so the shift we made going into 2022 is I actually worked with Ravi, who was a huge help for us. And he pretty much just made one tweak that made the difference for us. First things first is he taught me how to run my own ads, which was an invaluable skill. And the second thing is like, he was like, hey, look, you're getting leads and booking calls and closing deals from this sales process that you're already currently running. Why don't we just run ads and amplify the sales process that you're already familiar with and you're already doing, which for us was DM conversations, right?
Yep.
And so our first month of doing that was January. So December, lost about 120,000 with no ROI on ads. January, I put 3,500 in last year, and we made $30,000 back the first month. We're profitable
because you'd already refined that process of
it was so simple, right? And so we're like, oh shit, we got something that works. And so over the course of 2022, what ended up happening is every month we'd spend a little bit more, we'd make a little bit more. But it got to a point to where every time we would spend more, we couldn't spend more past that point because we didn't have the infrastructure to support the leads, to support the calls, to support the volume or anything like that. And so then we had to learn how to build a sales team. So from, I would say, April to October, we just spent the entire year around the same ad spend range. So I don't think we ever spent more than 30,000 in a month. And we were stuck and capped out there because the lack of a team. And so we ended up hiring, probably 5 to 6 different setters, and we cut them down to 4. And what the setters do is they simply just qualify the incoming leads to either set them for a sales call or disqualify them. And then we went through about probably 6 to 7 different closers, and we cut them down to a core group of 4. And so obviously there was lost efficiency there. There was deals lost. There was, time we were training up the team, building up the team, et cetera, et cetera. But now going into 2023, we have our full team dialed in. We got our setters. They're on lock. They're all committed for the whole year. We got our sales team. They're ride or dies. They're committed. They want to be full time. And so we're going into this year with a team that has the volume and capacity to scale. And so this month we're spending more ads. We're spending more on ads than I feel comfortable with. But I'm like, fuck it, I just want to see what happens and see how that works.
I totally get that feeling, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
And then the last thing too is we moved our top sales guy into a sales manager role. And so now he's fully in charge of the sales process. And so that's kind of what did it for us. Adding in the Facebook ads and the paid traffic really changed our business. And then that brought what I tell my students, because now I'm teaching them how to do the same. I tell them, like, you don't realize how many problems your business has until you have the lead flow to show you what's not working or what's broken. And they're always like, oh, I don't need a sales team. I feel like I could take these calls myself. We do 1 month of ad spend, and they're like, okay, this is a lot. Like I can see where the value of having a team comes into play.
100%.
So yeah, that's what did it for us, man. That's what got us to the 7 figures last year. And I think we finished.
Isn't it always, dude? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I think we finished the year just at 1.3.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's what I find to be the case. Is like people are always looking for external solutions to very like internal problems. You know what I mean? So like this is human nature generally. Like it's not just even, this isn't just showing business, but like you had a problem of like, okay, we couldn't, like you did 750, you're trying to crack the mill mark, and it was like you're looking for external solutions to internal problems. And this is something like that I repeat over and over again, like to our clients and like my community, even people that just follow me for free. It's like, there are no external solutions. Like, look at what you're, like, you had this advantage of, like, being able to have conversations with people, and then you were looking for funnels outside, or, like, sales process outside of that, you know what I mean?
Looking for something new.
Your strength. Yeah, looking for something new as if something new would solve it, but in reality, you just needed more of what was currently working and to build a bigger system around what was currently working. I think it's where Robbie, like, struck the nail on the head for you, dude. Like, that's great advice, and that's advice that an experienced veteran would give. It's like, yeah, dude, like, don't stop trying to, like, plug a circle hole with a triangle shaped like cork, just like you've already got a system that works. That's because it's like your heart's in the right place. You're trying to spend money to make money. That's good. But like you should like lean into your existing strengths.
Yes.
And this is like, it's such good advice, dude. It's killer advice.
I went in so adamant about building a VSL call funnel. And because that's how everybody did it back in like what, 2014, 2015, 2016. Yeah. It's like that was the golden key. And so I was like, that's what I have to have. And his advice of shifting it to like, why don't we do what's already working? That was a light bulb that literally changed everything for us overnight.
Yep. Dude, so simple. So let's talk a little bit about like, so, I think one of the elements that got you to $1 million a year was obviously like the top end, the marketing end. But like, I almost have become more and more fascinated with like what it looks like to actually lead a client community and like be a leader of a proper like group of people. Because like PTBI is like its own. Like I notice people like they post on their stories of like, check this out. I'm watching this module right now, or I just completed this action item or whatever. And like, you've done a very good job at cultivating that community. And I think there's two levers that you have, like a sales team with a consistent inflow and like a community of people that are really bought into the mission and product. And so that other end of the business of like a community, I think that'd be a really interesting topic to go into, because like I think people get stuck at like the 10 to 20,000 a month level of just like one-to-one, lots of hours working with people, and like it's great, they can get great results, but like you don't really, it caps so quick. So I think that other end of the spectrum that you have, that lever of like community, I think we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the community do you specifically have questions about, or what do you want to know?
Well, I'm trying to ask questions for the sake of the person listening, and I think they'd just be wondering like, how do I make that transition from one-to-one to group? And this is a transition I've helped a lot of people make, but hearing it in your words would be amazing, because
Gotcha.
I do think you've crushed it, man. Like I see your stories, I see like people tag you and they're like super involved, and like and we've created a similar effect, but I think you've done it in a very, very unique way. Like you've got people really bought into like the mission. So I don't know, man. Just I think it's a curious thing, because that is such a deep lever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess how did you go about creating that? What'd you do from the start that created this, as well? Like how do you continue to cultivate it, etc.?
Great question. I think there's two aspects to this question. So I think the first one is like more technical, like how did I actually go from 101 to building a community? And then the second question is more so how did I build the community culture to be what it is?
Yep.
So the technical side of how did I actually go from 1-to-1 to building a community was I did a lot of one-on-one coaching with clients, and I would just absolutely pack my roster. And that got me a lot of experience really fast, because every single hour of the day, I was able to teach lessons, and I was able to get immediate feedback on how those lessons were received. And then the next week, I can see, okay, how did they implement? Did they get the results they were looking for? Do I need to tweak this lesson for the next client? And so it just came down from a lot of volume of teaching. And then once I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm literally repeating the same lesson to every new client over and over and over again. Now it's time to turn this into a course.
Yep.
So the course build out was huge for us. And my approach to a course is I try to make it as dummy proof as possible. Like I try to make it as idiot proof as I can possibly make it, because I don't want to rebuild this thing again. I don't want to re-answer questions that are unclear in the course. I don't want to have to hop on calls and clarify myself further if the lesson's not received. So I tried my best to make it as dumbed down as possible, as simple as possible. And I think that did a really good job at people understanding what they need to do in the business, because we hardly ever get complaints. We hardly ever get, questions that require, super in-depth stuff. Everyone gets it. It's just super simple. Everyone gets it. Now, for common questions, so I guess my question, or I guess how we structured the coaching, is that the course that we built teaches the how-to, so how to do X, Y, and Z. And we offer one-on-one coaching with every single one of our clients. They have an open calendar to where they can receive coaching calls, anytime that they're available. Those are more strategy sessions for them, right? So, hey, let's mind map what the next month is going to look like for you. Let's mind map your goals. Let's break down what steps you need to take in order to get those. Okay, in order for you to get here by this point, you need to execute these steps. If you're unsure on these steps, then you need to watch these videos in the course. And so everything goes back to the course as the foundation of how to do the things. And then the coaching is more so like how to go from point A to point B, having a custom roadmap and strategy. Now we've outsourced the coaching, the one-on-one coaching, to a team member. She does that full time. She does a really, really great job. And everyone gets the support that they need. They have tech support. And then we also have a community of coaches that lead coaching calls throughout the week. So that's kind of how we've structured the group offer. They get a course. They get one-on-one coaching. They have an assigned coach where they can ask questions via text and get a response, and they can also book in one-on-one calls whenever they need. And then they also have 5 coaching calls a week that are group coaching calls with different coaches that have different area of expertise. So that's how the course is the community is structured. Now, as far as the actual community, I think I do a really good job at attracting the right clients. You know, we get people who are young, who like to have fun, that are kind of against the grain. You know, if you're attracted to like my style, I don't really like have like a super uptight, buttoned up kind of style. I think a lot of people, when they come in through the ads, we ask them like, you know, what stood out about Zach or what stood out about PTBI, and they like the nonchalant, kind of chill, not flashy, not in your face vibe. And I think it brings people who are super down to earth, super open-minded. And a lot of the people in this group, when they come in, they are striving for a connection. They're looking for a community to support them. And, you know, we host events that are not super like formal. Like, for example, this weekend, we're going to a rave here in Vegas. I have a couple of students that are flying out. We got a party bus. We're going to go crazy. And so, like, we get people who are down to have fun. And, you know, that's kind of our version of building the community, is like, we want to be successful, but we also want to have friends to be successful with. And so I think we just attract the right people. And once they're connected on the inside, then the community kind of just takes care of itself. Like one thing that was really incredible is that we had our San Diego retreat in October. We had 40 students fly over from across the country, some of them from even Canada. None of them had met each other before, right? All of them were super nervous coming in. We spent 3 days together. We had a couple speakers. We all did workouts. We went out to the bars. We drank. We danced. We jumped in the ocean at midnight. It was a lot of fun. By the end of that trip, there was 5 students who had agreed to move in together, and within 2 weeks, they were living together in San Diego, all from all over the country.
It's so nuts.
Yeah, and they spent 2 months in San Diego, and I think they're still together to this day, and they didn't know each other before that. And so I think we have a group of people who are down to send it and do cool shit, which I think that just comes down to like the vibe you put out, what the types of people you attract through your content. So yeah, that's kind of how that was formed.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just a mirror of the leader's personality. You know what I mean? Like, I think you probably would look for that in an investment like this. So then naturally you speak about that on your front end of your marketing. Like, I do think too, like, you very actively sell the community element. Like, one of our clients, Connor Rickey, like, he just passed $1 million a year. And he says one of the biggest pieces of advice we gave him was like, dude, like, you're selling the program and the coaching, like, really sell the community. Like, sell people on who else is in the room, and like your quarterly events, and like rubbing shoulders, and like, you know, network is your net worth, and really selling that element. And I think that's like one of the ingredients that I'm seeing is becoming very commonplace for like $1 to $5 million a year businesses sort of in the e-learning and coaching space. Is like, yeah, like, it's not like, not only do you get the blueprint, not only do you get the action steps, not only do you get like great coaching, you also get, and probably the most important thing that you get, is the community. And if you got nothing else, then the community itself is worth 10 times what you paid, because of that story right there. Like, some guys moved in together, and your sales guys could tell that story on the phone. You know what I mean? And so in that way, it creates this like feedback loop of like, there's a community, and the community is a really valuable part, which then gets marketed to new prospects. New prospects see that they want that community as well, and it's just, I think it's very natural to your personality type. Yeah, it amplifies itself. It's very natural to your personality type. Like, honestly, like, we started off this podcast talking about like, dude, I still live in my hometown. Like, I don't necessarily, as much as other people, need that network. Like, I really love it. Like, love going to events and everything, and maybe it's a false belief, and maybe I need to check myself. But like, dude, like, I've been to the in-person stuff and everything. I'm content, man. Like, I'm content with my wife, and I'm content, like, you know, just like, I don't need to be so in like surrounded by it physically in order to get the value from something. So I don't think that I push that as hard. But we have a new head of student success, named Anthony Curtis, and he's like incredible. And he's like, yeah, dude, we really need to push more community. I'm like, let's do it. Like I said, more in person, let's have more events, have it more. It just doesn't come naturally to my personality type, because I typically don't even take advantage of that when somebody offers it. Yeah. I'm just like, I'd rather do Zoom. I think it's just like, I don't know, introversion, or maybe just like, I don't know, it's not as quite as natural, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I think the company ends up reflecting the owner in a lot of ways, and that is one way where I see it reflecting you in a huge way.
Absolutely, man. I think a good way to go about it is like you should look at your you should get your business to the point to where people are signing up to join your program just for the community. They don't need the
100%.
course, they don't need the coaching, they just want the community. So yeah, we have a goal to throw like the best fucking parties in the industry. That's definitely like what we want to start doing. We just want to throw sick ass fucking parties for our students, and we want people to want to join the program just to have access to like the parties and stuff.
That's hilarious, dude. Have people join the program literally saying, "I just want to be at the party"?
Yeah, just give me an invite. That's what we want. So we're gonna
That's
be
awesome.
Yeah, that'll be like our 5 to 10 year vision.
That's so killer, man. That's so killer. Did this was this vision of a community like in mind when you first got started with this, or was it just something that you think naturally happened over time because of just your personality type?
I think it's something that naturally happened because what ended up happening was I was in San Diego, and I'm a big zealot of like pushing whatever I'm into onto other people. And so people are like, yo, like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling like a little down. I'm like, dude, come visit me in San Diego. And they'll come down and like, I'll show them the whole city and the whole landscape. And my first year ended up doing that with like, 15, 20 different students over the course of that summer. And a lot of them moved. And so cool. I had like 15, 20 people. This is now my friend group. All right, let's go out. Let's go party. Let's go to the show.
Bro, I almost felt prey, dude. You must got me to move out to San Diego. I was because I was in the middle of the breakup, and I was just like, bro, I might do that.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to put Vegas on. I'm trying to get people out here in Vegas, which give me 2 to 3 years. I think I can turn something out of this city.
That'd be awesome, dude. You just, I think you just have that energy about you, man, where you just pull people around, and like, it's not even like a. There's no ill intent. It's just like, I love this,
dude,
and here's why I love this, and you should come be a part of it because I love it and it's so good. And that energy is just so, I don't know, I just really admired about you. It's very like, it just rubs off on people.
Thanks, bro. The way I describe it is like, imagine hearing a really good song for the first time, and you're like, this song is the best song that I've ever heard. I need to share this song with all of my friends so we can all enjoy it together.
Yeah, that's that very much is your person. Do you happen to know your like Myers-Briggs or Enneagram?
I think INTJ, is that right?
You're an INTJ?
I think so. That's what comes to top of my mind.
That sounds completely off.
There's
no way.
I would have to take it again. That's the one. I'm like, it has to be that one because I don't even know what any other ones there are.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like I means introvert, N is intuitive, T is thinking, and J is judging. Like you're not a very judgmental person.
No, I think that's right.
You'd say you're an introvert. You would say you're an introvert, really.
Yeah, I would say so. For the most part, I definitely have. I can definitely get myself extroverted, and if I have enough time to prepare, I can be very extroverted. I'm not spontaneously or naturally extroverted, but like, for example, we're throwing a party. That I came to Vegas. I told Megan, I'm like, I want to be known for throwing parties. I want a house where we can throw parties at. I want to that's what I want to do. And so we've been prepping for this party for a month. I'm fully ready for it. I'll be extroverted the whole time. But at the same time, I prepped for it for a month. Right. And it's probably going to take a lot out of me for the next month. Right.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
In that sense, I feel like I am introverted because most weekends, bro, I'm not even leaving the house. I'm watching TV. I'm playing video games. I'm playing the bass guitar. I'm reading. I'm sleeping. I'm inside all day. And that's how I prefer it. But, I do like to have fun. And so my areas of extroversion is like, I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to prep for it. When it comes here, I'm going to go all out. And it's probably going to be what I do for the next month.
Got it. So it's like, you do like having a bunch of people around you, but it's like extremely intentional energy placed, and you're like it's very like intentional to create that effect in your life.
Yes.
Almost just out of a valuing people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's very planned out too.
Yeah.
Very planned out. I really do like to protect my energy, protect my time, protect the things I value, which is energy and time, and also just my mental focus and whatnot. And so I'm not super into doing spontaneous stuff. Like So
Mm-hmm.
if it's planned out and I can prep for it, then absolutely. But for the most part, you'll catch me in my bed chilling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm about to say, because like, I think extroverts have an advantage in business in the way that they love people, they're energized by people and everything, but they have a disadvantage in that. I think like a lot of time I've noticed that like just the boring behind the screen stuff, they just get antsy about it. But then introverts have an advantage, like the boring behind the screen stuff, just building the product, building the funnel, building the system, like that all is like way more not exciting, but it comes more naturally to them. And then they have a disadvantage, and like they might honestly end up staying that way. So I think like the best of both worlds is like an extrovert who learns how to do that work that might not excite them in the moment and is willing to delay gratification. Because like my wife's an extrovert, she just loves being around people. Like it'd be anybody. Like we actually went to church Sunday, and like we met these two people, and like without even like I had to talk to her about it. I'm like, hey, you gotta like run stuff like this by me, like without even consulting me. She's like, yeah, come on over for lunch, dinner, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, we got people over. Like,
Yeah,
cool. Like and so it's just early marriage, but you figure these things out. But like she's just so like ready to hang out with anybody and everybody all the time, and I'm just like, I'm exactly like you. Like my clients, my team, the people that like I'm really influencing and doing work with and building life together with, like, bro, I will sink into those relationships and hang out for hours, because it's just like we're on the same, like you said, protecting energy. We're on the same wavelength. Like we're aiming for the same thing. Like everybody in my team is profit share now. So like if you're sales, your percentage of what you bring in. Every other role is profit share plus like a measurable KPI of output. So that way, if somebody else lags, like it doesn't hurt your income.
Nice.
But like we're all just very in the trenches together now, and it's almost like we're like a little band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the Beatles. Like we all own a piece of the business. We're all just like a band of brothers that are just like figuring it out. And to me, it's just like, dude, I can hang out with these guys for weeks and not get bored, because it's like we all have the same vision. So I think like the filter is almost just like, do we have the same vision? You know what I mean? And I think ultimately I'm able to see the commonalities. Like though people generally in Indiana are like internet-based entrepreneurs, they do have like steep family values. They ultimately they want to know and love God, and they want to have a great relationship with the people around them, and they just want to live a peaceful life. And like I have that very much in common with them. The means in which we achieve that might be very different though. So like, yeah, I think it's like the people in your circle, like you're saying, protecting your energy. It's just like, do they have the same vision?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I'm very graceful with like not judging how somebody else is achieving their vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you understand your values and you understand how to access what's going to work for you, I think, that's what's most important. I just remember when I was a kid, I would always get myself overwhelmed in social situations because I would always commit to things that I didn't quite know weren't for me. Like, committing to a 10-hour day with people that I wasn't totally comfortable with. And I'd find myself like, fuck, I just want to go home. Like, I'm so over this. I'm like, I just want to go home. When I was younger, I didn't understand that, like, you can say no to certain things like that. And now that I'm older, I'm just like, that's not for me. Don't count me out on that. Or that is definitely for me. Count me in on that. And a lot of it now is just like, just planning the stuff that I want to do with the people that I want to do it with and not committing to anything else.
Yeah. 100%, dude. And I think it's like there's a certain level of control that you have over that. So like you're going to be in the right rooms with the right people, but like it's going to be kind of on your terms, which is a healthy way of living life, dude. Yeah. You
were talking about something, or you're talking about introversion, extroversion. I want to share a story that I thought was pretty interesting. That I think I don't think a lot of people realize this, and I think that introverts might have an advantage when it comes to building businesses because they're able to lock themselves up alone all day and kind of just focus. But I had my sales team stay with me about a month ago. They stayed with me for 2 weeks in December, and they got to see what I do every day. And what I do isn't very exciting. Like, I have a lot of free time now that everything's outsourced. If I don't have coaching calls, I'm doing nothing all day. And like literally I wake up at 8 a.m., check my KPIs, go to the gym, home by 9, nothing for the rest of the day. I'm just on my phone checking with my team, kind of chilling. I'll take some naps, I'll read, I'll play a little MW2. And my guys were like, dude, why don't you like go out and do something? Why don't you, go out? Like, and I'm like, the thing is like my life externally isn't crazy, but mentally there's a million things. There's a million things going on in my mind. And so for me, I need to be in a controlled environment. So that way I can be on call when fires pop up, or I can be available when things pop up. If I'm out hiking and I got no service and shit's going crazy with my business, I would go crazy, mentally. And so, I was telling him, like, like, even though it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, like in my mind's going a million miles a minute. My job is to think. And so I think that also the introversion plays into that, because you're able to go inward more and think and problem solve and kind of plan out the vision of your business and plan out the roadmaps and the steps, because that's what you're getting paid to do as a leader. So I thought that was an interesting story that I thought I'd share, because it kind of had to do with the introversion, extroversion stuff.
No, it's super interesting. It reminds me, I was having a conversation. So like I told you, we're moving everybody in the company into like a profit share model plus just like incentive-based pay based on performance in a given month. And every role has a different way that we measure performance. So it's like split right down the middle, profit and performance. And I was having this conversation with one of our team members, and they were just like sharing, like, they're just a little nervous about, like, there's like there's no base basically. There's no guarantees. And I'm like, well, obviously not. Like we're all bought in, and ultimately they're completely bought in, and they know that they want to do this, but they're just like, they're in a season of life where they just need to know that it's going to work. And I'm like, I hear you, but like the ceiling for base pay is this, the ceiling for profit and performance is like that. Like it's like literally 8 times higher. And also, you've shown up in every single way you can over the past 3 or 4 months. Like honestly, you don't need to do anything different. I'm literally just saying I'm going to like 6x your income. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we were having this conversation, and I just remembered this piece of advice that I was given. It's like, that I'm a devout Christian. Like, I've got a very strong faith, and I've studied like the Old Testament and what it has to say a lot about business. And there's so much there, dude. Like, for example, in English, when words have a double meaning, it means nothing. So like right, correct, and right, like direction, like who knows why we arrived there, right? Doesn't really mean anything. But in Hebrew, which is the original language that the Old Testament was written in, which is actually my first tattoo is in Hebrew as well. So I could pull my sleeve up. It's all Hebrew words. And dude, what's so neat, dude, like, for example, the word Deborah, which is like where we get the name Deborah. So like, I'm sure you've met somebody named Deborah. That word has a double meaning. It means words or language or communication, but it also at the same time means bees, like honeybees. And the reason why is like, you look at what bees do, like they either impermanently sting, which like leaves a mark and like can hurt a relationship, or they create honey. So like honey is actually the only physical food like on the entire planet. Mankind has not yet figured out how to make a physical food that doesn't expire. But honey never expires. You can put honey in a jar, it lasts like 100 years, and you can pull it back out and it's fine. It's like really deep,
interesting,
meaning. Like it goes way deeper. Yeah. It goes way deeper than people even realize. And so I was just thinking about this as I was having this discussion with him about like the financial setup of our business, and you sharing your story about your team coming over inspired this topic. Like I was telling him, the word for blood and the word for money in Hebrew, again, like the Old Testament language, is the same word.
Wow.
And that's because
that's not an accident either.
Not an accident. It's very intentional, because like the way that the money, the way that the financial structure is set up in a company will then create the body. And when you have like, when sperm meets egg and like you begin the process of building a thing, the first structure that gets created in that process is the veins and the heart. So the heart and the veins go out, and then the rest of the body forms around: the bones, the skin, the eyes, the whatever else. Starts with the flow of blood. And so I was telling my team, I'm like, you guys are kind of a new team. We're rebuilding things, restructuring things. I'm starting with the financial structure, and I'm watching everything else build around that structure. Performance-based, bought in, burn the boats, we're all in. Like if we have that attitude as a company and financially we show that attitude, then we can all have that. So money and blood are the same. So like when your team come over and they're like, you're doing nothing all day. Well, it's because, bro, you're the brain. You can't see past the skull to see what the brain is doing, but it actually stores the most blood. You have the most resources. You have the most like reward, quote unquote, and you can't see what the brain is doing, but it's constantly in a decision-making process, right? Constantly, like the brain never turns off. Even when it's sleeping, REM sleep, it's resetting. So as the company owner, the blood goes to the brain. And I was thinking deeper about the subject. I know this is like really niche, but like,
no, I like where it's going though.
Yeah,
it definitely, it came around full circle. I like it.
Yeah, it took me a minute, but like, it's just like your team comes up, and I had the same problem with my older team. I had another version of the team. They're like, they kind of had the same problem. They're like, I just feel like you don't do anything every day. And I didn't have the capacity to explain like, well, I'm not doing nothing. That's not it at all. Like I have all the responsibility, I have all the decision making, everything's on my shoulders. But yeah, my calendar was empty. And so I remember thinking deeper about this, and it's like, Well, our brain holds the most blood, but then if you look into biology, like your hands actually have the most blood. So it's your brain first, then your hands next. And like in a company, what are the hands? Like they touch everything externally, and it's sales. Like sales is the only compartment of your business that consistently touches external things.
Yep.
So I don't know, bro. It's like a little off topic, but
No, I think that's great. I think
digging
that's great.
into that, and it's just so much wisdom, dude.
Yeah, and that's exactly why, with the way that our company is structured, obviously I'm at the head, and then my right hand guy is the sales manager, and he's my eyes and ears for a lot of things, a lot of feedback, and he's also the second highest paid person in the company as well. That brings me back to another story that you were talking about in the very beginning of this podcast. What were some of the things that I had to learn about hitting the first 7 figures mark? And 2022 was the first year where I had a fully empty calendar, and I valued a fully empty calendar. There was a period of about 3 weeks where I wasn't doing anything that was pushing the business forward. Like I wasn't building out any resources, wasn't building out any course material. And I had a pretty empty calendar. For the most part, my team was bringing in deals. We were hitting record months. Things were going good, but I was sitting idle. I'm like, and I kept beating myself up for it. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to fall behind, blah, blah, blah. Just, giving myself a bunch of crap. It just had a lot of anxiety and guilt around building up, for doing nothing. And I went on a walk one day and a problem came up, and then I saw how that problem was going to manifest 6 months down the road. And within 3 seconds, I was like, okay, we need to do this, this, and this. Called my team up. I'm like, hey, we need to implement this. We need to hire this person. We need to do this. And then it clicked and dawned on me. And I realized that my job is to see 6 months down the road and to make game call decisions. But I needed this space in order for me to do that. And it took me 3 weeks to make one decision that would change the business for the next 6 months. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I'm supposed to have empty space to think. I'm supposed to do nothing. I'm supposed to be able to make decisions, because my sales team, they don't have the time to think 6 months, 12 months down the road for the company or anything like that.
They're very in the trenches.
Yeah. So that was a light bulb that went off for me that kind of shifted the way I thought about my role growing as a company.
100%. Like when I was a one-man show, I got paid for my ability to sell and deliver and just really my effort. I got paid for my effort. Now that I'm at this like multi-7-figure level, dude, I get paid for the quality of my decisions. You know what I mean? And like really you want to, as a company owner, begin to create an environment that supports the best decisions, which I think is in part why I got married. Like I knew subliminally, like if I have that devout, like rest of my life relationship, like it's impossible. Like I don't believe in divorce, dude. I'm not getting divorced.
Yeah.
Like, I do not believe in the concept. I think people who get divorced, they don't even know what marriage actually is.
I agree.
On a spiritual level. You know what I mean? They don't get it. And so for me, dude, like I knew that if I got married and I had somebody in my life that was consistently there forever, that I'm also fully responsible for, like as the man in the relationship, I believe that I'm the spearhead of the relationship. Like that's how I see it. And so like if I knew that if I got married, then it would force me to think longer term. Like literally force me, because now I can't think about next month or next week or today. I'm forced to think like now, dude, since being married, man, and you asked me before we launched the podcast, like what's married life like? I think one of the side effects has been like I can't stop thinking about 40-year-old Trey right now.
Yeah.
I'm like
great.
Constantly thinking about that version of me. And like everything I'm doing right now, like the author of Atomic Habits talks about like, because I'm rereading that book right now. It's a good book. I've gone through it like a couple of times. And he's like, when a plane takes off from LA and it's going to New York, if you actually just adjust the angle of the plane like 3 degrees, it lands in like Washington, D.C. from LA, right? So it's a completely different destination. And it's like, I think being married and like committing to this industry and just making a lot of like very deep commitments is forcing me to make stronger decisions for my business. So I knew that as a byproduct of making that commitment, I would be forced, like literally forced into a position where it's either like terrible marriage, unhappy, broke, and sad on one extreme, or beautiful, thriving marriage, having sex all the time, loving on each other, like everything's perfect and the business is growing. And it's like, but that vision, I mean, not that we aren't active, right? But that vision takes time to build and sustain, right? Like in our 40s, 50s, 60s. So it just is forcing me like I'm realizing like the money's great, dude. Like if I get, like I've told you before we launched podcasts, I'd love to put like $1 million in the bank this year again. Like that'd be awesome. Like another $1 million profit. That'd be killer. But like even deeper than that, dude, like I want to learn how to like really lead a team and lead a company and actually be a visionary so that in my 40s, if there's a whole new industry, there's a whole new thing. Like I have the capacity to rally people and build the financial structure, right? The blood of the company, put the people in place, have the ability to make decisions, call shots, and think in the long term. Like that's a way deeper skill than like learning how to, you know, sell a $42,000 mastermind or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, dude, like it's just, I can't stop thinking about that longer vision. That's probably one of the side effects.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah.
I definitely do think your relationship will make or break you. And I see a lot of people getting into like your marriage and your relationship with your girlfriend looks amazing, but I see a lot of people who are around me that are getting into marriages that I'm like, I don't think you guys fully thought this through. It's almost like they kind of just do it because it's the right thing to, or like they're supposed to. And I feel like a poor relationship will hurt you more than having no relationship at all. But then having a good
100%.
relationship will amplify things 1,000%.
100%, dude. It's a massive risk. It's the biggest risk I've taken in my entire life, for sure, by a large margin. Like way riskier than getting into business by far. So yeah, dude, it's a really, dude, it's a crazy thing. It's to me like being young, being married, being a business owner. It's just like very like rare air. Like I've met like 4 other guys that like, because like there's business owners, but they're like not actually successful. And then there's married, but like they hate their wife. So it's like love their wife and successful and like 25 and under. Like I've met like 3 people, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like very like, it's like just unprecedented territory that I'm like, I could literally go for hours on like how many lessons that it's presenting to me. And like every day I'm waking up and having to just learn to be a little more selfless, because it's like, you've got this other person that has their own set of needs, and like my job to like help meet them, not all the way meet them. I can't be everything for them, but making sure that I'm not being selfish and driving a stake down every day, you know, and just like killing that part of myself that like, not that I don't share my needs, but killing that part of myself that is like constantly thinking about me, I, so that we can actually meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a beautiful season, man. I don't know.
I love it, man. I love it. You guys got any trips planned this year?
Yeah, we're going to Iceland March, and then we're actually we're doing Mexico this end of this month, because we got a mastermind with a bunch of our clients out there in Tulum. Iceland over her birthday in March, which is I do a quarterly break, so we're going to consider that our quarterly break. Mexico, which is kind of like a work trip, and then we're thinking about revisiting Italy. We did honeymoon in Italy, so we might just go back to Italy over my birthday this year, which is in November.
Nice.
Yeah, dude,
That's
it's
exciting.
the best, bro. It's amazing.
We're doing Philippines in March, which is gonna be fun. I think I want to do Colombia this year. I've heard a lot of things about Colombia. I've heard that's good.
Interesting.
And then we're gonna do a Europe trip in September.
That's killer, man. Like just tour Europe, like all the cool spots.
Yeah, I figure if you're gonna go all the way out there, just knock it out all at once. Right? So I'm hoping to get my business. Right now, my business is in a place to where I can be on my phone and be on call, and my team can handle a lot of stuff. So I'm hoping by the time September rolls around, I can afford to take a 30-day trip and just tour Europe, knock it out, and then come back and kind of focus on the next step.
That's killer, man. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, like you said, creating space to make decisions, you know? And like last time I was out in LA, that's when I decided to aim higher. Like I was super content at like 100 a month. Yeah. But I was out in LA, and I just had I had like a week, I was doing nothing. I'm like, this ain't it, man. Yeah. Like I want to go for more.
I tell my team it's crazy that I'm getting bored with 130. I'm like, I'm getting tired. I'm getting real sick and tired of 130, man. I'm ready for something exciting to happen.
Yeah, I love it, dude. But I mean, I know for a fact you guys will hit like the fact that you built your sales team, put that in place. Like, yeah, dude, bro.
You're good to go. I think this year, a lot of things I'm shifting. So I know you're a little bit younger. You're what, 23, 24?
23.
23. Okay. Yeah, you're a little bit younger than I am. I'm going to be 27 this year. So I'm looking at towards the end of like my 20s, right? And I'm really being intentional. Okay, I've slaved for the last 10 years. I built this business. How do I want to live the last 3 years of my 20s? What are the things that I can only do in my 20s that I don't want to regret when I'm older? And so I just recently, I got a new car. I was driving a Honda Civic for a while. I was pulling the old Hermosi fucking mobile. And there's really no reason for me to upgrade the car financially speaking. Like, it's probably not the smartest thing, but at the same time, I'm like, there's only one time you can drive a Corvette and it's cool and it's in your 20s, right?
100%, dude.
The other thing is I'm going to start traveling more this year. Staying in a hostel when you're 20s is cool. Staying in a hostel when you're 55 is not very cool. And so I'm just going to be very, very intentional with kind of crossing some bucket list stuff off my list in my 20s before I lose that opportunity forever. And that stuff might not be fully aligned with business, but I can also integrate it, like we were talking about, in a way to make it aligned with business. Like the Corvette could be,
marketing piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Marketing piece, branding piece. The traveling and stuff can easily be used as B-roll into like videos and stuff and kind of build a lifestyle around it. So, you can definitely make it work.
No, that's the awesome thing about the industry we're in, man. Like you can, well, it's honestly any industry. Like if you're creative enough, you can find where these different pieces of your personal life integrate. Like I kind of want to maybe spend some time on that topic and then wrap up. Like the integrate concept, man, is something that I see consistently, that the people that get to $1 million a year and sustain it and continue to grow, they don't just look at their business to solve the business. They look at every area of their life and they ask, how can this all fit together? And they're constantly looking for ways in which they can have it all. Honestly, they can have the personal life they want, they can have the business they want, and they can figure out ways where it can all relate and interconnect. And they're more like an alchemist of their life as opposed to the owner of a business. And you move almost from the business being this separate silo in your life into it almost taking over, and every element of your life benefits every element. And so then no one decision becomes an isolated decision. Everything interconnects. And so, you kind of said, like, before we kicked off the recording, like, yeah, everything's kind of like subtly a business decision. It's like, yeah, 100%, dude. Like, there is no one isolated decision about anything that either you or I are doing right now. Like, everything's integrated. And like this podcast, for example, like I'm like, on one hand, it's a business thing, like short form content from this is gonna be freaking awesome. The conversations I'm going to have, like the warming up the audience and building an audience around the podcast, be amazing. All that's gonna be great. But like even deeper, like, dude, like this is a conversation I get to have with a friend, and it's just like time well spent generally. Like even if it wasn't recorded, I just love our relationship, and I want to have people on the podcast who I enjoy speaking with. And it's energizing, and I learn a little bit from you about how you're doing things, and you can maybe learn from me. And it's just like, there's so many elements to it. So you start looking for those little decisions that have a massive yield, that have like 4 or 5, like 4 or 5 birds per stone, you know what I mean, is what you really start to look for at a certain stage, and like really leverage decisions. Like in October, I got back from my honeymoon, and my current sales team decided to go off and start their own thing, which I love, that we have a business where people can come in and decide to like grow and spread their wings. That's like what I had in mind from the start. But very transparently, I wasn't really ready for it. So like that month that they left and went out and did their thing, I had 2 options. Like either do the really unleveraged thing for getting back in the trenches, and like I could do 150 a month as like a one-man show, honestly. The leads are there, products there, everything's there. But I just refused to. In October, we did like, it's like 40 grand, dude. It was like next to nothing. I could have done it myself, but now we're going to wrap up this month. Like we've already, I'd have to check, but we're something like 40 grand, 45. So we should wrap up this month at 200.
Yeah.
And that's because the first week, my head of sales is actually still off because he was still doing holidays. So it's like, so I could have just one-man showed it, but I was like, what's the leverage decision? It's like, well, I got to bring people in, and the people that I brought in were just previous successful students. So you just start to look for these levers that you can pull.
It's crazy when you get to a position where getting in the trenches is no longer worth your time.
Dude, yeah, it's just absolutely not.
I think that's a very blessed position to be in. Right? Yeah. Very, very blessed. When you realize that, like, hey, chasing the quick dollar is not actually the best move. And, taking a short-term hit for a long-term play can be beneficial.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Are there any examples of that for you recently, of like you had to kind of turn off that muscle and then like focus on the bigger picture?
Not recently. Everything's been just going super smooth. I'm honestly really impressed by the culture we've built, about how diehard people have been. So I haven't had any fires, but talking about the integration stuff, I think you're absolutely right. Everything that I do is somewhat done for the business, right? So like every trip I take, I'm thinking, okay, how can I make this some type of ROI for the business, whether it be lifestyle content, whether it be meeting up with a connection, whether it be, sourcing like new leads and stuff like that. Like the Philippine trip, for example, like, yes, me and my girlfriend are definitely going to have the time of our lives spending that trip with each other, but we're going with a content guy. He's going to be filming a lot of content with us. We're going to be meeting up with our team, with our VA team. And so it is going to be very productive. And also you can spend any kind of trip as like, a freedom play for content that's going to allow you to attract more and more people. So, my thought process is when I'm making decisions, when I'm planning out my life, I'm either planning it around my business, or if something comes up, I'm trying to figure out how can I tie my business into this somehow to where that way I'm getting something out of both.
Yep. Totally. And if nothing else, like you can just think tax advantages.
Yeah.
If you're living in Vegas, a cool place to live, like tax advantages.
Yeah. There's also
a car, it's a marketing piece.
Yeah. The Corvette thing is definitely it is definitely a business move as well. I think at this point I keep telling myself the Honda is hurting me more than it's serving me. So I'm excited for that to come in.
I could see that being the case, man. Yeah, because I remember you were driving just like a beat up Honda.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome. But like, yeah, I got I don't even post about it. Like, I think I never even post about it. I drive like it's like $120,000 Tesla Model X. Like, I don't even care though, because I got it literally because one year it was like, well, we've got all this extra money in the bank, and like you're either gonna pay tax on it or you spend it on something. And so I bought like a mastermind, give the team some bonuses, did some other expenses, and I was like, whoa, we still got some left over. All right, I'll buy a car. Yeah. And I bought the X, and I didn't even buy it. As well as I do, like if you take out a loan, it's still, you get the depreciation, it's like section 179C, I think, in the tax code. Like, yeah, you can write off the whole car even if it's loaned. So I put down like 15, and you can write off the entire car. The entire expense of the car is still written off. Wow. So I wrote off $120,000 as a deficit into my company, yet I only put like 15 down, and every monthly payment too is just more tax advantage, and the car holds its value great because it's a Tesla. So like I could probably sell it and get like 110. That's because it's like these cars just don't break down as long as you take care of the battery. Yeah. So yeah, dude, like that was the biggest, like that was when something clicked. This was like end of 2021 I did this, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it was like my brother was like, bro, this is my dream car. And I'm like, really? I had no idea. And my clients were like, no way, you so deserve it. My team was like, go, congratulations. Like, I literally was just doing this because
it was a business move.
It was either that or like 45 G's in taxes. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I did it. But then everybody's like, no way. Like I pull up to Thanksgiving in it, and they're like,
man. People love it.
Yeah, they do, man. They do.
Yeah, people love it. Like I'm not one, like I have a lot of guilt, carrying a lot of guilt into like doing the Corvette, just because like, I don't know. It's kind of like you have to unwire a lot of programming that got you where you were.
Yes.
But every time I post about it, people are like, bro, so sick. That's hype. Like they love it. I'm like, okay, this is actually going to do the brand really good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, 100%. That's the same with watches for me, man. Yeah. Exact same thing. Literally the exact, like I've got the day date, the all gold, the one that you like.
I love that. I love that one.
Freaking, yeah. It's like 40 G's, man. Yeah. But like that's the thing, man. There is, unfortunately, it's just the world we live in. Like, I don't think it appeals to everybody. Yeah. I don't think people are like, oh, he wears a nice watch, therefore I'll buy his thing. I get it. Like, buyers are way more sophisticated than that. I'm not even calling my audience like dumb or anything, but like, if you don't have subtle signals, like people might not know, and it's important just to build in that subtlety into your brand, because especially if you're a business coach, man, it's really helpful. And like, it'd be like, to me, like being a fitness coach that like doesn't have that's not in shape. Yeah. It's the same thing, and I can either show a bank statement, which like I could do,
but it's not exciting though.
I can just, not quite as exciting, or I can like have a nice thing, and so it's the same idea, man. It definitely benefits the business. I couldn't find a way to write off the watches though. I there for a minute like flipped them and ran it as like a business, but like I realized like if I actually wanted to run a business, I would actually have to run a whole new business.
Yeah, and it's too much time. It's
I'm not gonna come up with some fake write off. Yeah, like it's not. Yeah, like I'm just So I pay taxes on them. Yeah, like it's income.
They'll hold their value.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Holds their value really, really well. Yeah. And you've got the day date, and you're going for the gold date just now too, right?
Other way around. I have the date just going for the. I have the date
That's
just
right.
going for the
other way around.
Gold date.
Other way around.
Yeah, that gold day date was the one that sold me on watches in general. When you got that thing, I'm like, that thing is literally screaming to me right now. I need to do more investigation. That kind of opened up my world into watches. I know when you came out and I explicitly remember you came out to San Diego, you stayed on me and you're like, yeah, man, you should look into watches. They're fun. It's a good hobby. And like I mentioned before the call, I'm like, I just wasn't in a period of time where I had the mental space to even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, then when I saw you pick up that day, I'm like, okay, I need to get myself one of those.
Yeah.
And so,
Dude, it's so sick.
the day date was the one I would set my eyes on, but I was like, okay, it's probably going to take a while for me to get a day date. Let me pick up a piece that I will enjoy that I can wear in the meantime while I can wait for it, or, save up the money to buy it cash, or have the money where I'm okay with buying it cash. And so this piece is the piece that I got for the meantime. And then when that piece comes in, if they call me, I'm going to pick it up.
Nice. And honestly, dude, it's funny, man. I honestly can look back and say that I probably got into it a little early too. Like I probably could have had more liquid in the bank before I got into it. But for me, it was honestly a motivator at that beginning. Like I was in my parents' basement when I first got started, and what I had on a sticky note, and it was Jaguar F-Type, Rolex, $20,000 a month. Like it was very materialistic when I first got into the game, and so
I think that serves you though.
Yeah, it does, man.
Yeah.
It really does. But then you realize like, wow, that really is not a good mentality for like the real stuff, like really running a company and like being the leader of a team, and like it has no appeal to me at this point. Probably the only reason that I entertain it or play with it at all is just because like I guess I can, and to me they're really I just purely enjoy the craftsmanship, and that's it. I
do too. So, and I think I have a couple buddies here in Vegas that have timepieces, and dude, there's nothing fun than getting dressed up with your friends. You guys got nice watches on. You go out for a cigar and a drink. That's a fun. Yeah, dude. For me, that's a fun night out. I might not hit the club or spend money on gambling or anything like that, but it's a really fun thing to do with your friends.
It is, dude. Yeah, I agree. Like when we had our student meetup and I got dressed up and like I was wearing I actually sold it. I didn't buy it from my AD. I bought it used, but it was like a $32,000 or $34,000 blackface steel Daytona. So it was like the opposite of what is called like the Panda. And I just remember like man, like this is like a huge like identity thing for me. Like it really, like I used to see this watch and like online and people wearing it, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's very much like, I think it served me primarily in the sense of drilling into me the identity of like somebody who can do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, because like I don't think your nervous system ever really unlearns its relationship with money unless you really kind of like experience it. You know what I mean? And like really feel it. And like I bought this thing and it didn't even like matter. Like I had plenty of money to buy it with and I bought it. But like I think your brain knows, but your nervous system hasn't caught up yet. Your nervous system is like a very primal thing. So it like hasn't learned that you're good yet. So I think that's probably the role that they played, if any.
That is a funny thing, because like, you know, you can have $1 million in the bank, but if you haven't learned to spend your money, you'll still feel like you don't have enough.
Yo, bro, 100%. Yeah. And then like you're constantly thinking like, no matter how much money you have, one of the podcasts I did with another buddy, he was talking about this effect of like when you climb one mountain, you get to the peak of that, and then all of a sudden you can see all the other mountains. So you get to the peak of one, you actually feel more broke because it's like a way higher ceiling. Because like it used to be that like $20,000 a month was like, whoa, you make 20 grand a month online? Like how? Like, but now you're like doing 100, 200, 400, whatever, and you're looking at guys who do like 4 million. Bro, the ceiling's so much further now, and I can honestly say like since I started making like $1 million a year, like I've been putting $1 million in the bank, like I feel way more broke. Yeah, significantly more broke than I did back when I was just getting started, and it's like a weird effect because it's like, I don't know. I think you need to be more conservative about the money though, because otherwise it just comes in and it goes back out. Which I was on that end of the bell curve there for a sec too, and that wasn't good. Yeah,
what was that like for you?
Learning how to like,
or I mean, the coming in, coming out. Were you spending a lot? What was happening there?
I just didn't have a bookkeeper. I didn't have eyes on the numbers. I just grew really quick. Like my first 6-figure month, I had no idea what I actually profited. I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
And I just kept going like that.
You weren't even like looking at your numbers, checking like.
Yeah. Damn. I was just moving, dude. Yeah. I would just wheeling and dealing, bro. And I had no idea what I was actually making at the end of the day. I didn't know what my tax, like I didn't know what I owed on taxes. I wasn't paying quarterly, anything like that. Yeah, and I didn't have a bookkeeper, nothing. So like we just did like a group call for our mastermind, and I was like, the $100,000 a month like profit blueprint. The first piece of advice: bookkeeper. Yeah. Like if you don't have a bookkeeper, You have no clue, bro. You're so far from knowing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Such a silly thing to overlook, but I did, man. And it's just because I didn't have any examples really directly ahead of me at the time. I just dove head first.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that I do pretty well. Is I have a pretty solid pulse on the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. That's really good. And nowadays I have a great pulse. But like, yeah, I don't even know how I used to live with myself. Like I was so anxious all the time.
Yeah.
And it just like it ate at me, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, I made all this money, but like I didn't keep much of it. Like where did it all go? I have no idea. And I was just constantly making up for it by having another big month.
Yeah.
Not good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
I think I'm all tapped out.
Cool. All right, dude. This has been a great pod, man.
Yeah. Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I'm excited for this to go out.
If you enjoyed this clip and you want to mentor directly underneath me and learn all the strategies that we've implemented into our students' businesses to help over 100 people reach 6 figures a year, 100 to $999,000 a year, and over, I think it's 15 students as of January 2023 to $1 million a year or more, then I want you to go ahead and schedule your completely free consultation with us. There's no pressure to make a decision. We're not going to force your hand. We're just trying to figure out what it is that you need in order to take that next step to either start your online consulting or coaching business in any niche, any industry, or take your existing consulting or coaching business and really scale it to that next level in order to really sustain a business, put a lot of money in the bank very quickly, and serve a lot of people. Okay, so you can use the pinned comment on this video, or if you're listening on our podcast, go to treycockrum.com/schedule-page, and you can check out that page. It's just a simple schedule page. If you fill out a form and we want to know a bit about you, a bit about where you're coming from and what's motivating you to even speak with us so that we can make sure we give you the best options. And if we notice that you're honestly not in the best place to get started, whether that's financially or time constraints or otherwise, we'll make some other suggestions to you, okay? Our reputation is everything to us, so we're only going to really make offers to people we know for a fact that we can help. And even if we don't make you an offer, it will still be some of the best 45 to 60 minutes you've spent on your business this year, because you're gonna get a custom strategy and be told exactly what you should do next, okay? So book your free consultation using the link in the description or in the pinned comment, or if you're listening on our podcast, treycockrum.com/schedule-page. See you there.